Hello, and welcome to my channel. My name is Brenton Lengel, formerly host of Insurrection with Brenton Lengel, which I may be restarting, perhaps starting with this particular podcast, because I have with me Jangles ScienceLad.
Hello, also known
and
as Justin.
Yeah, also known as Justin. And Justin just got done absolutely obliterating Milo. Half the reason I'm famous is you have to Google me just to spell my last name, Yiannopoulos, on modern day debates. And I'm so excited to have you on the channel to talk about this. So dude, like, congratulations. How do you feel about that? What was going through your mind during that debate? And yeah, let's hear. The people want to know.
Okay, so that debate it was nothing like what I was expecting. So so the way this first came about is Modern Day Debate put out a tweet saying, "Hey, is anyone willing to debate the concept of white fragility with a conservative firebrand?" And someone tagged me and I said, "Yeah, hey, I'll do that." When I was in the messages, he kind of asked, "Here, I can actually pull up the exact words that he said." He's kind of like trying to "Oh, are you sure?"
Yeah. Well, there's some interesting stuff kind of on my end of this. Because yeah, I had actually originally been asked to debate Milo, but I turned it down because I didn't like the topic. And I didn't think I would be the best one. I'm glad I did because you were phenomenal on this topic, and I think you did a lot better than I would have.
I appreciate it. Yeah, so that's really interesting, right? All right, so yeah, there we go. Yeah, but let's see. I've got to warn you, it's against a very incendiary firebrand. Is how so I didn't know who it was first because it was I didn't want to put the name out there until the debate was set. But a very incendiary firebrand, a big tough dude, someone who wrote Triggered is was Triggered one of his books? There are 9 books named Triggered, all by the same people.
What I hate about that phrase making its way into modern parlance is everybody fucking uses it. Like, even Neil Gaiman put out a book called Trigger Warning, and I'm like, come on, Neil.
Yeah. It has an actual psychological use, and it's actually a real thing.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody would make fun of a veteran for having PTSD. It's pretty shitty, and I will admit that it's coming to my parlance too. It probably should go away.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is, things that are used in an academic setting often get watered down when they are presented to the culture as a whole. And I remember when I first started seeing, people requesting trigger warnings and stuff, and I was like, oh boy, here we go. And then I found out that, trigger warnings, they exist for people with PTSD. And, for a long time, there's been people disbelieving the existence of PTSD because the very first thing, if you remember, what was it, the General Patton famously slapped a soldier who was suffering from PTSD during World War II, and was like, I won't have cowards in my army. And history has judged him very, very poorly for that. That's one of the only things people remember. I mean, Patton was remembered for defeating the Nazis and also slapping that soldier.
Yeah, those two things primarily. I mean,
yeah.
But I was expecting someone who, his whole entire thing is making people angry, whatever we want to call that. Making is to be a provocateur, if you will, to incite people, to insult people, and to make people very, very uncomfortable as much as he can because he thinks it's really fun. He said that he likes to offend people. It's something that he just enjoys doing. Before the debate started, so in kind of the call before it started,
yeah, when you guys are talking back in the green room.
Yeah, he's poking it a little bit, he's making fun of James's background, it looks ugly, and did you flip up a bed or something? He's like, your background, you have that zebra chair. I was like, you have an unmade bed. He was trying to I think he was trying to get under the skin. Did you see the shirt he was wearing?
Yeah, Black Cocks Matter.
Yeah, Black Cocks Matter. So civility is at the top of his forefront.
Very intellectual. It's a very civil, intellectual man.
Yeah, and I'll be honest. So I've done a ton of debates. I've been called a fat F-slur plenty of times. It's like I
Yeah,
don't know how he could have created this, and I'd laughed it off. It was one of the
yeah.
best moments of the debate because it made the other person look really, really bad.
Hmm.
Um, so I don't know how he had a role in creating this environment, in creating a. Oh, what are you mad? Liberal
Yeah.
snowflake. What are you mad? So I was honestly going into this expecting some bans.
Hmm.
At the very least, like going back and forth. I did not expect him to instantly break down and cry at the smallest possible things.
Yeah, because I mean that was you were actually like pretty. I mean, if he's going to debate Destiny, if he broke down debating you, like Jesus Christ, man, like your little barbs were. I mean, that's standard debating stuff, and I think this just goes to show that, like, because I remember, like, I had one of my friends who is more on the right and kind of more sort of right wing shitlord was actually saying beforehand, he's like, oh, don't debate Milo. Milo will destroy you. He's a master troll. You have no idea what you're getting yourself into. And I'm like, yeah, okay. Um, and you know, I expected yours to be closer to something like with Eric Stryker, where he wouldn't engage with the subject and instead would try to be as funny and insulting as he possibly could to everybody, to bake in as many like really offensive talking points into his questions and into his responses to try to elicit an emotional reaction that way, to you know, to troll you till you got emotional. But it seems like he just got emotional like right at the drop of the hat.
Right.
It makes me wonder if, you know, a lot of these people, they get famous for, you know, debating, like doing like the Steven Crowder, Ben Shapiro, Milo Yiannopoulos thing, where they debate like freaking freshmen in college who are sitting there, have never been in front of a microphone in their life, and have maybe had like a couple of classes, and you know they clip those out and they send them all over the web, and everybody, they get this reputation as being like this hardened, you know, super trolling asshole. And
You'll
you
also
know,
notice that in those interactions, the power differential between them, someone up on stage,
mhm.
and someone has to hand that kid the mic and can take it away and mute it at any moment, the power differential is incredible there.
Yeah. So then you get them in like you get these people in a debate frame where they're up against people in more or less an equal playing field. Like he has much more fame, arguably legions more fans than either you or I do. But you know that kind of goes away when it's, you know, head to head. And it reminds me of people like who have never taken a punch in martial arts. Like one of the most important things to do when you're doing karate, when you're learning sparring or any other form of martial arts, Muay Thai, MMA, is you have to get used to getting hit, because it will trigger the adrenaline and you know you get disoriented, and some people freak out and give up or panic and do something stupid and get knocked out. And it seemed like he'd actually never been hit before,
Yeah.
in that sense.
Do you remember that? I forgot, it was this English British journalist that Ben Shapiro had an interview to talk about his book, and how the second he got any sort of criticism or pushback, he just melted down and ended the interview. This
Yeah.
reminded me a ton of that. Like just like they're so used to having this extreme power differential, and they got this ego. It's almost relevant to the topic. Like, they have this ego that is not earned, and the second it's questioned, they go into full defensive fight or flight mode.
Yeah. Well, you know, I will tell you one of the things that I was really inspired by was I'm gonna and I was your opening statement, just in general. It was brilliant. It was delivered really, really well. I've gotten praise for my opening statements, and I was like, he's really got a good one here. So, and one of the things that I was kind of floored by was the fact that I don't think Milo had ever heard an actual like leftist critique of power. I think he'd only gotten like cliff notes from intellectuals, and then like he'd probably spent a lot of time arguing with like liberals, because a lot of leftists will refuse to do, you know, these kinds of debates. He even mentioned it, that people will oftentimes want to debate him, and then, their fans will say, no, no, don't do this. And he backs out of it. That was one of the things that he really complained about during the debate. But at the same time, I was like, man, I have never seen one of these figures get presented with this actual critique of power. And he had no response for it. He had to go back, and it seemed like he wanted you to legislate the book and to defend the book and the author.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is idiotic. I sent in a super chat about that, by the way, and James didn't read it, so I'm going to yell at James. I want my super chat money back.
Yeah, that's fair. One of the things going into this debate that I got a lot of, I did get a lot of heat for platforming Milo, which, by the way, I've gotten about 600 followers on Twitter since the debate ended.
Nice.
So someone was platformed. We'll see how that translates, because it takes a day or so for YouTube subscribers. But so someone was definitely platformed there. But another criticism I got is you don't want to defend this book because it's poison. Now, I read the book. I read the entire book. I took 8 pages of detailed notes on it. So
beautiful.
And the book itself, it's all right. There's no way this book would have gotten nearly as popular as it did, though, if it had a different title.
Yeah.
And it's something I brought up during the debate a few times. I thought you were all for provocative titles.
Yeah. So what are you so mad about this title?
Yeah.
It seemed, I'm guessing he didn't actually read the book, because he didn't confront you on any passages in the book or try to pull out things that were really incendiary from it.
Something that so I got some criticism from friends saying you don't defend this book, and I'm really glad that I did, because he came into the debate thinking that he could just pull out his D'Angelo jokes from the book and just tear them apart, pull out quotes from the book and go, do you think this is really how the story of Jackie Robinson is told, or something like that? He was incredibly prepared for that, because he wanted this. Oddly enough, I'm pretty sure he wanted the zingers. The easy dunks on the book and stuff like that. And when he wasn't
provided with the opportunity for that.
Yeah, it wasn't provided with the opportunity, because I made sure in my very first paragraph, no, I'm not talking about this book. It's bad. But I'll talk about the actual concept and the scientific and psychological research that supports kind of the underpinnings of the themes of the book. And that threw him completely off. He was so off kilter during his opening statements. He repeated himself 5 or 6 times. And most of them were you're not talking about the book, which is the thing that you're supposed to be here talking about.
Yeah.
It really, I got the impression that that's what he had prepared for.
Yeah, which is idiotic, by the way, because it's not idiotic that he prepared for that, but the question is, does white fragility exist? So if the title White Fragility refers to the book, yes, the book fucking exists. You've got it in your goddamn hands.
Yeah, I see it. It's right there. I can pull it up if you want.
There we go. Debate over. It's done now. So let me ask you something, because he did seem to keep trying to confront you with being off topic, and really seemed to be going. I'm surprised to learn. I'm not surprised to learn that he was a dick beforehand, in the green room, but I am surprised to learn that he was a dick in the green room and then proceeded to whine and cry about you being off topic and being rude to him.
Yeah, this is something that a lot of people, when they know that they're being pinned down and they have no idea where to go, they're going to try desperately to steer back to the character of the person. So yeah, I've seen this happen a lot in debates. This is just a complete speculation on my part. I'm not saying that I've studied this or anything like that, but it just seems you want to make sure that if your rhetoric and logic aren't doing well, you want to appeal to the emotion, and so you want to attack the character of the other person and give an emotional, he is mad. Because I did get a lot of criticism. So for example, Destiny actually did watch the debate on stream.
Oh.
Yeah, and I got some criticism from a chat this Jangles guy is insufferable, which is fair. That's a fair critique. I am insufferable.
I don't think, this is the thing I will say. Watching you, I don't find you to be insufferable.
Okay, well, I appreciate it.
There's a lot of people out there who, they will just use that term, insufferable. And I just wonder if I think that says almost a lot of time more about the person making the comment than the person that they are commenting on, because essentially it's like this person is insufferable and there's a bit of jealousy baked into it because they're not the ones like up in front of everybody. But then there's also, it can just go down to, I don't like this person's mannerisms. And yeah, and personally, I think your mannerisms are fine. I don't know, like there was nothing particularly smarmy about like your responses, and I think my biggest criticism was you were channeling Destiny a little too hard and not channeling Jangles enough.
No, that is 100% fair, and people caught on that. I will say, like, Destiny is the reason that I got into debates. It's not even a question. I picked up a lot of his like speaking styles and mannerisms and Buddy and Dog. I definitely picked up Dog from him.
Which is the new thing. Apparently, we found what triggers the alt-right trolls. Just call them Dog.
Yeah. So I can't deny any sort of like influence from Destiny. It's 100% a thing. Just like all of my favorite people, I can't help but steal from. Like I actually was writing an opening statement, trying to channel Cody Johnston.
He's so great.
Yeah, he's awesome, and I love his like speaking style. I love that he uses that humor to make points. I even in my opening statement said, like, to paraphrase from Cody Johnston, because he had this incredible like. I didn't phrase it word for word because I wanted to add and I wanted to modify it a little bit, but it was still enough of. Yeah, if you've watched that video, this is where I got this line from. So.
Yeah, Cody Johnston I've been following him since he was on Cracked, yeah, he's been hugely like his Mysteries of the Science series is freaking hilarious, and oh my, you gotta watch, because he basically does it's like a science program like done by a British nature host, and just like the cadence of the character that he gets there, and like the way he talks about like complete and utter bullshit about the natural world, but it sounds like something you'd get out of like, I don't know, like a Disney documentary or something. Like seriously, check that out. It's one of me and my wife find it hilarious. Also, if you get a chance, tweet, and this goes to anybody listening, tweet at Cody Johnston to tell him to go on Modern Day Debate, because I've reached out to him to invite him on the channel to debate whatever he wants to. I want to see that happen. I want to see him debate.
I wonder if he'd be good at debate.
Yeah, he's a trained comedian, so I think he might actually be really good at it. If he's used to doing stand-up, I think he could.
Well, it's like the difference between stand-up and improv, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, fair enough, because stand-ups often need to be good at improv. Like one of the reasons I got good at this was I cut my teeth in the New York City underground open mic scene. And as a result of that, I was really used to being on stage, speaking to people, dealing with hecklers. Like, I'm not a comedian, but I've got friends who are comedians. And in fact, if you watch, there's a debate between Caleb Maupin and what's his face, Augustus Sol Invictus, the crazy blood drinking Nazi. And if you look that debate up and skip to an hour 36 in, I ask Augustus Sol Invictus a question, and I eviscerate him with it. I asked him if he was a serial killer.
Can we go back to the blood drinking Nazi part?
Oh, yeah.
I'm kidding.
Yeah, but I asked him if he was a serial killer, and I asked it in this like very like, and one of the first things he said when he came off of it was like, "Are you a comedian?" And I was just like, and I'm like, haha, you knew that was funny as shit. That's why you're asking that. So I think Cody would probably have a decent thing. But yeah. Have you not heard of Augustus before?
No.
Oh my God, look this guy.
What I'm going to Google is crazy blood drinking Nazi.
Who changed his name to Great Unconquered Son.
Crazy blood drinking Nazi dude. Richard Chase is the first thing that comes up.
Well, maybe there's more than one crazy blood drinker.
Maybe
just Google Augustus Sol Invictus. Yeah, he ran for Senate, like for the Libertarian Party in Florida. He's Florida man. In fact, when he first came on, I was like, oh man, Florida man used to be so whimsical. But he was one of the organizers.
He looks like a serial killer.
Yep. And he talks like one too, and he has a couple of like the dark triad characteristics, allegedly, because he's a lawyer. I want to make sure that I think he's in jail right now, actually, for domestic abuse.
According to Wikipedia, he's currently on trial.
He's on trial. Okay.
Well,
yeah.
now that's what Wikipedia says. It might not be updated.
Yeah. Yeah, so he went and did a debate in New York City with Caleb, and the debate went, what was it? It was right before Charlottesville, and he was one of the speakers at Charlottesville. And one of the things he says towards the end of that debate is like, politics is where talking ends and you pick up a gun. And then, of course, we saw what happened with that and a lot of right-wing terrorism. But my point is that these people are inherently ridiculous. And I think people who have skills that are honed as comedians, especially comedians, would be very, very good at debate as long as they're clear on the topics. Because
comedy is rhetoric. I maintain that wholeheartedly. So one of my favorite topics is comedy. I actually have 2 videos on comedy theory and humor theory on my channel, and it channels a lot of that. Like one of the reasons, one of the first things that oppressive dictatorial regimes will do is stamp down on satire, stamp down on comedy, because it's extremely effective at communicating the ridiculousness of the ruling class. It can't stand up scrutiny.
They really can't. And this was what I expected. To tell you the truth, I expected Milo to be funnier, because he had this, provocateur. But also, I remember, he was working for Simon and Schuster, or working on a book that was going to be published with Simon and Schuster. And like a lot of the notes that came out of that were leaked later on from his ghostwriter and from the editor working with him was like, unfunny, delete. Like, it seems like he didn't really he doesn't really understand humor. He just understands like how to be mean to someone, and almost always picks a target that's way weaker than himself.
Yeah, he relies on the meta joke. So what he says isn't funny. The punchline isn't anything that he says. It's the reaction that he gets from it. That's what the joke is.
Yeah.
So it's not that, he's, what? I heard you broke up with a trans woman. Tell us about that. It's that he said something shocking and, you weren't expecting it. And the people who hate trans people think it's really funny because that hurts them.
Yeah, exactly. It's the performative cruelty aspect of it. And that's why, you get a lot of these like failed comedians like Steven Crowder who become conservative political commentators because, they understand like half of comedy, but not the rest of it.
Are you familiar with any like comedy theories or humor theories or anything like that?
I'm vaguely familiar with that. I mean, like I write humorous stuff. Like Snow White Zombie is funny. It's not primarily a comedy, but like I've been told I understand. But as far as theory goes, I mean, the only real experience I have with like academic humor theory is like that nerd writers thing on like how Louis C.K. tells a joke where they break it down.
Oh yeah, and man, but I mean, like you can be. Do you think any of like the top comedians in the world? Do you think any of them have like a degree in humor or anything like that?
No, certainly.
I hope you didn't take it. I hope you didn't take it that way. But
no, not at
since I'm not really funny, I like to read about how other people are funny because it's interesting. There are a few.
I thought you were funny in the debate. You had some good zingers on him.
I had a moment or two. Like I made that, even though Destiny doesn't like me from seeing that, I made him laugh a few times. But.
Oh wait, he doesn't like you? Was he the one that said you were insufferable?
No, he didn't say I was insufferable, but he did say, don't worry about it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll watch the stream back and see if there's like legit criticisms. Because I could definitely have done better, because you could always do better. But anyway, about humor theory. I think humor is directly tied to morality, because the best humor theory that I've been able to get a hold of, that's like the most encompassing, that explains the most, is something called benign violation theory. So it states that you have to violate a norm. You have to violate it in a way that doesn't go too far, benign, and those two happen to happen simultaneously. Like a norm, the person realizes the norm has been violated, and that it's okay that norm has been violated, and that's where the humor comes from.
Well, that makes a lot of sense, actually, because I'm a Buddhist, and with Soka Gakkai, and through like kind of my reading into and understanding in my Buddhist practice, one of the thinkers that I've gotten very attracted to is this guy by the name of Alan Watts, who's freaking brilliant. Have you ever listened to one of his videos or anything? Okay, check him out. He's got there's hours and hours of his lectures on YouTube, and I really say he's like one of the only public intellectuals that's worth a damn. Like, and he's dead, of course. But
Oh, well, that puts it. Never
yeah,
mind.
but he was very big in like the 50s and 60s, and I think he died in the late 60s. I was when I first encountered him, I was really blown away, and it shows you just what an empty shirt people like Jordan Peterson are. When they really don't have anything to talk about, or Zizek. And I even like some of the stuff that Zizek says, or hell, even Chomsky. I think Chomsky is probably one of the best ones out there, and I think Alan Watts just levels him. But he talks about humor, as it is, it's the same thing as anxiety. It's just being expressed differently. So instead of being expressed in like a negative way, it's expressed in a positive way. It's the same thing with the simultaneity of violating the norm and realizing that it's okay that norm was violated, which then creates this sort of trembling, this feedback. And so, like, it's
For example, have you ever like almost gotten into an accident and then like
Yes.
laughed about it afterwards or something like that?
Mhm.
Well, so the theory here is that like from like an evolutionary perspective, like you saw a threat. Oh God. Oh, we're okay now. And this is why humor is social, because that laugh, that humor, that the actual act of laughter, you're looking like around. That's why you need other people, and you're signaling to everybody, it's fine. It's fine. We thought there was something wrong here, but we're okay now.
And
That's
we're
kind
going to laugh. Yeah.
yeah. So it's directly tied to your sense of like danger, which can be like extrapolated to morality. So, well, do you want to get into humor? Because I love talking about humor, or do you want to? Am I dragging us too far away? I'm sorry.
No, you're not dragging us. I actually like the conversation kind of going where it goes. I would like to kind of recenter though a little bit more on the debate itself, because one of the things that I did notice, again, like I said, Milo was not being funny in the debate. He was not really able to troll you, and he was getting like really emotional throughout. Like, and when was the point that you noticed that like you're like, okay, I got this? Like
the very first time that he complained that I was being rude.
Nice.
Because now I will say that I went into that probably with a little bit more combative than I go into most debates. Oddly enough, it seems weird after this to like go back but one of the comments I got consistently when I was like first starting debate is that I'm like civil and calm and things like that. By the way, I don't equate loud with, well, you know what I mean when I want to say calm. I get excited and stuff like that, but I very rarely get like super angry or super like combative. I will say that I went into this a little bit more combative than normal because I was expecting the conservative firebrand to bant with me.
Yeah.
So there's some criticism that could be levied at me, and I would accept it, but not against Milo.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like if you look at the debates that I had, look at the debate I had with Sargon, and look at the debate I had with JF. And I was I treated Sargon much better than I treated JF. Part of that was just the way they were behaving, but also JF is much worse than Sargon, like freaking neo-Nazi. And so Milo, part of me had a compassionate reaction to him just because he got, I didn't know about the stuff beforehand. So there was part of me that was like, oh, he's really getting triggered by this. I feel a little bad for him. But then I'm also remembering like all the horrible stuff he did and the people he abused, and like what really got me was like like the neo-Nazis he worked with, and the fact that he used like long knives as his password and one thing, and like it made reference to like historical crackdowns on the Jews in another password that was outed. So my question to you is like, because he is associated with all these figures, you were essentially up there arguing with a neo-Nazi, just one that, but he seemed to be a little more hidden. And it was interesting that he sort of accepted your more leftist critique of power and race structure and came out and supported reparations. Like, what do you think he did that? And do you think he actually supports reparations, or was this part of like some sort of a way he was trying to defuse you?
I'm actually not 100% sure on that. I mean, it wouldn't be something I would like super press him on during the debate. It could be a lot of things. It could be like, see, I'm not racist. I support reparations and things like that. I think, and this is conjecture, but one of the reasons that that a lot of neo-Nazis are okay with a systemic critique of power is that there are people at the top that are controlling everything, and you know what all their names are?
Oh no. Yeah, and then and you even had that with the one question where the
Yeah.
guy was trying to
What?
tie it into Jews.
Yeah, and I was like, technically everybody falls under these justification of power, but I think you're just wanting to mess with Jews. But Milo, he saw his bat signal and went
Mhm.
full JQ. It
Yeah.
was, yeah.
Yeah. Now, my question here, he also seemed like he did really complain very loudly that no one will debate him in the thing. And so it does look like I think he platformed you, by the way, other way, as opposed to the other way around, particularly with how badly he came looking out of this. But, what are your thoughts? Because you did talk about it a lot. What are your thoughts on debating some of these, vile people
I think
after
it's,
this?
yeah, I think it is risky. There's always a risk, but I think you have to have confidence in your ideas and your abilities to present them. And then the third scale of countering and reacting to another person. I think that debate is not for everyone, and that's not a good or bad thing. Um, like just it's sometimes some people are extremely good when they're able to write their things down and they can write beautifully. But then when it comes time to give a speech off the cuff, they're not as good. It's just different skill sets. So but I think if you're against the concept of deplatforming, period, or you're against the concept of platforming, period, I think there's some part of you that is scared that their ideas are going to are going to grow
Yeah.
because they're better, or at least the public is more willing to listen to them.
Hmm.
And as a leftist, I want to believe in the public. I think that's a pretty bad way to look at things. I get it though, I do. I don't like the platform in the sense that I'm going to have a neo-Nazi on my show. Well, what do you think about racial
Yeah.
relations in America?
The kind
I
of
think
Dave Rubin one where you just bring them on and I mean, Dave Rubin's a bad example because he's genuinely a part of the right. So
Dave
he's,
Rubin from like 3 years ago, let's
yeah,
say.
yeah, Dave Rubin before he sold out to the oil money. Um,
Yeah.
where they do just bring somebody on and just let them talk and think about it. Because, it was funny so I had Kay Fellows on my channel immediately following our debate. And for the record, by the way, Kay Fellows is not a Nazi. She's not anything like any of these people. But she bills herself as like a pro-life feminist. And she had debated the thing and seemed nice and intelligent. So I was like, let's get her on my channel and we'll talk about it. And she made her pro-life arguments. And these are arguments that I vehemently disagree with in a lot of ways. And I did challenge her on them. But like at the same time, like it wasn't a debate. I had literally just brought her on my channel to talk about this stuff. So I wasn't going to like freaking rake her over the coals right then and there. Now, I'm sure there's probably going to be some people who were mad at me over doing that. But I think, you kind of have to come up with like tiers of acceptability and tiers of respectability.
Yeah, all platforming is not the same.
Yeah, exactly. And also, like, it's as we talked about in the last time, if you are nice to somebody, they are more likely to think about your ideas and whatnot. So there's not, and I think that will probably extend not just to the actual person you're arguing with, but with people who are on the other side of the issue. If they see you giving respect to their ideas and to the person that you're talking to, they think, okay, this is someone I can safe for me to listen to. It's not just an enemy. In that, on that note, though, and I did want to kind of touch on this with Milo because it did seem like there was a big issue that was kind of going unaddressed in the debate. And it was partially because Milo started whining. But I think sort of the core disagreement that I was seeing, at least in terms of, race relations, is it seems like he very much believes that black people... well, it's self-contradictory because he blames like the Clinton crime bill and says that black communities have suffered under it. But then, like, the argument, and this was another thing that I wanted James to read that he didn't. James, I'm mad at you. There's another thing that he didn't read was that I pointed out in a super chat that Milo, when he talked about, like, you know, these young black men growing up without fathers, having, you know, this criminality to them, that he sounds just like Hillary Clinton talking about the freaking super predators, and therefore he is advancing what is a circular argument, you know. So, like, if there, it seems like he was embracing a sociological explanation for that 1350 bullshit, but simultaneously, like, the cause of it is the cause of it is the same as the symptom, and thus begging the question. So my question, like, to you is say you're talking to someone not Milo, and they begin to make this argument, that there is something inherently wrong with black culture. Like, how do you respond to that, to the meat of it, not to personality necessarily, but to the meat of the 1350 bullshit? I have my own answers for this, but I'd really be interested to hear yours.
Oh yeah, so this is actually one of the direct topics that we talked about. Well, obviously it was, but it's something that came up a lot. I don't know why anybody who debates these people or questions these people don't automatically call them out on it every single time. I swear I'll get to the real question. So, for example, he said that and I still have my notes pulled up, the blame is at the feet of white liberals, the crime bill, and the war on drugs, and left and welfare dependence, destroyed aspiration, hands-off policing leading to these disaffected, troubled young men, and what they should do is black people should stop being a victim and just decide to be better. And how do you whip around to naming the problem and then advocating for a solution somewhere in another zip code than what you were just talking about? So if I was talking to someone who just didn't believe that white fragility was a thing, not white fragility, but that systemic racism, you know, they just thought that wasn't a thing, I would probably explain to them, like, hey, I would probably give some form of that speech, like, hey, here's what slavery led to, here's how the history, one thing leads to another, linear time, actions and consequences and things like that. And because when we get here eventually, because none of these problems were inadequately addressed, do you think that they are starting from the same position? So for example, and if they were like really like, what about white people? I grew up poor and stuff like that. I'd probably bring it more personal. Say, hey, I did too. I grew up in Appalachia, one of the poorest counties in the United States. That area has been absolutely messed over. So, and the reason the people are poor there, because it's not because they're dumb. It's not because they are lazy. It's not because they don't work hard or they aren't smart. It's because there are not enough opportunities in order to climb out of that area. And it has created a systemic situation in which escaping poverty, if you are stuck in this place, is extremely difficult. And so I would kind of point that to now. Now imagine that same thing, but one of the things that contributed to that system was objectively racist laws that kept a certain group of people down.
Yeah, so you're talking about redlining and you know, the legacy of all of that. It seems like, and again, I assume he's advancing these arguments, you know, in bad faith, because, you know, like the 1350 thing has been debunked so many times, and Milo did not seem like a dumb person. Like, I don't think he was particularly smart, but you know, he seemed capable of understanding this stuff, but at the same time chose not to. And I'm wondering if that's to appeal to his audience, or if it's like more or less just because like this is his brand that he settled on, or if he is, you know, a committed neo-Nazi who knows this but doesn't care because, you know, as you said, he went full Jewish question in your debate.
Yeah. Some of it could be the psychology that I kind of talked a lot about during the debate. Like, people want to maintain a positive group self-image. This could apply to, and hey, intersectionality is a thing. You can have multiple different group identities. So if you love being an American, if you think that, you know, if you like being white, if you like your history and things like that, anything that kind of attacks that, you're going to be really resistant to. Not because you kind of don't want to believe the facts. You don't want to believe this thing that's going to make you feel bad and threaten the positive the group self and or group identity that you currently have. And so it's kind of like a survival mechanism. And again, this is dog standard psychology stuff. I pulled up a ton of studies to make sure that I at least a little bit knew what I was talking about. That would be the explanation that I give if he's acting in good faith. But also, I think he wants to make sure that part of his audience who like, what about the skull sizes? Like, I know you can't say the skull sizes, but come on, it's the skull sizes, right?
Yeah. And I loved that that guy with the super chat was saying that his people were being banned from modern day debate. Like, I hadn't, the only thing that will get you banned in modern day debate. Like, in my opinion, I think James and the moderators are a little too lax with folks.
One of the highlights I'm going to bring up is he brought up super chat like, hey, people are banning your fans, and what James said was, hey, our moderators only ban people when they're spewing hate speech and slurs and stuff like that. Oh. How did you know those people were Milo's fans?
Yeah. That's really funny. Okay, so and now you're going to be at MythCon, and Milo's going to be at MythCon too, right?
That'll be interesting.
Yeah. Do you think he's like going to throw something at you?
I don't know. He might just try to avoid me, or it might have been an act. Like, seriously, he might not have like So the way the debate ended, the little after party. Stream's over. We're still in the. Do you call it a green room?
Yeah,
after the fact.
I call it a green room because I come from the theater.
Okay, there you go. So we were in the green room after the fact, and I was like, I actually didn't mean. Like, I call people buddy and dog all the time. It's just a speech pattern. I wasn't trying to make you feel like a dog. And then he's like, "Oh, honey, I really don't care," and then like shut his laptop.
Oh,
so yeah,
so maybe he doesn't care, or maybe he was just lying about it. It's funny.
Maybe it was performative, like offense, because he was again trying to redirect the debate back to like attacking my character or something like that.
May have been. Milo always struck me. I wrote this. So I wrote an essay for Greed Media that was titled "Why the Alt-Right Fails at Masculinity," and this actually did so well it broke the website. And like, so nice. Like if you look up the article now, it's only got like a couple shares, but that was because it got shared so much it like broke the website and everything had to go down and come back up. Yeah, I was really annoyed about that. But in it, I specifically, and it's dated because this was like before Bannon was sent out of the White House and stuff. And the three people that I really went after it were Trump, Bannon, and Milo. And I singled out Milo because we all knew a guy like Milo growing up. He was the mouth behind the bully, and he would fold the literal second anyone ever went to cash one of the checks his mouth had written. And I saw that happen in real time with your debate. What's interesting, like, I guess, so, as Milo goes forward, do you think, like, if he's been invited to speak at MythCon, he clearly still has something of a career, and his audio setup was...
Do you know the topic?
What's the topic?
Sticks and stones may break my bones, but can words actually hurt me?
Oh my God. Clearly they can and do. Nice. So he's going to do that, and he's going to be debating Destiny at MythCon?
Yeah.
Oh, that's going to be a freaking slaughter. Like, Destiny... I have issues with Destiny. I really do. I think he's way too liberal in a lot, and I mean that in the worst sense of the word. I don't mean that left leaning. I mean he's got his brain stuck in like the liberal mind prison, as Thought Slime put it. But
hey, you're justifying the system that you're in with post-hoc rationalizations, right?
That you benefit from. Yeah. But like Destiny, I've never talked to him. I would love to debate with him sometime. But he. Even when you're wrong and debating Destiny, he's really good. Like, you can tell, you can see the skills. So, like, even if I was in a debate with Destiny and 100% right and having the skills that I have, I would be intimidated to go up against Destiny. And
rhetorically, he's really good at what he does. There's a reason that I've adopted a lot of these things, and there's a reason he inspired me to start debating. So even though there's some, especially some like Leggy arcs, where he was just not being great, like his whole Trihex thing was terrible. Don't look it up. It's upsetting. If you're not already familiar with it, but it's hard. You just can't deny that like he's good at the rhetoric. He's good at spotting out faulty logic when he's paying attention. Now, granted, I don't know how he plays video games and like
and
debates at the
continues
same
to do
time.
it.
I have no. I can barely do one thing at one time. But so
Yeah,
there's
I
my
can
point of
probably tell you how he
criticisms.
does it. He's played those games so many times. He's using his muscle memory to play essentially, so that his conscious brain can then go and do something else. Like
Yeah, that makes
there's
sense.
yeah, there's it's the same thing like with martial arts. You know, once your body understands how to fight and how to move, it just does it on its own. That's why Bruce Lee famously said if somebody came at him with the intent to kill him, one, he would kill that guy, and his defense in court would be, I didn't kill him, the art did. Because it's these responses are built into your body. Yeah, sorry, I love to talk about martial arts.
No, that's awesome.
Yeah. So let me ask you something, because so going forward after this debate, like what's next for Jangles the Science Lad? What's next for Justin?
I will be at MythCon talking on the race panel. You know, another white guy talking about race, which is what we need more of, really.
I'm both ironically and unironically doing this.
Yeah. After that, I'll probably take a little bit of a break from debating, because it's been nothing but debate prep for the past couple months, and just I want to get back to like writing video essays and stuff. Like there was a part 2 for a video that I made like 3 months ago that I haven't gotten around to because it's been too many debates. So probably just take a month or so off and focus on like writing and making video essays and things like that. But then we'll see if we can still get back into it.
Awesome.
I'm definitely not going to stop debating.
It's exciting, and you're going to be on the surfs soon. Is that correct?
Well, yeah, in hopefully a couple days.
Hopefully a couple days. Cool. I'm really excited. I'm glad that you're getting like all of the acclaim that you are getting for having done this debate. I think you handled yourself amazingly, and
thanks,
I
buddy.
think you were and I think you were the perfect person.
I should call you buddy.
No, you can call. Yeah, I might get offended at being called buddy. Buddy, sir, and like I'm your friend. So there was one other thing that I kind of wanted to bring up with regard to the debate itself. And this was his response to one of my super chats, one of the 2 of the 4 that James read. And it was he made the point essentially that the Democratic Party had black people basically in lockdown because you can't vote for the Republicans, and the Democrats pass laws that objectively hurt them and uphold the system that objectively hurts them, which is very much the case. And in my super chat, I pointed out that, yeah, that's the situation for literally everybody. You're not making any kind of argument here, like I, as an anarchist, am in a hostage situation with the Democratic Party, and they're not representing me or my interests at all either. And like, similarly, the Republicans do not represent the interests of their constituency. They only, they give people essentially bragging rights and a idea that like, we will hurt the people you want hurt, but they won't actually.
Have you seen the research that says that if you frame a question in support of a social safety net neutrally, most poor white people are in favor of it. But if you frame it in a way that makes it clear that it's going to benefit people of color, especially black people, they're less likely to support it.
I haven't read that, but that makes a lot of sense. And not even just that, but also like, I remember like my dad's a lifelong Republican. And I went in and framed a question about a wealth tax with him. And I basically said, hey, and we were going back and forth about politics. And finally, my dad, he got frustrated and he said, listen, I think people should be able to have $2 million. And after $2 million, just take 100% of what they've got. Everything after the $2 million, just take everything and use that for better stuff. And I said, well, Dad, what about if we went and did this? How about after $10 million, after someone can earn $10 million in a year, and then after that $10 million, we take 75 cents on the dollar. And he was like, well, it's not really radical enough. It's not going to do enough. It should really be $2 million and 100%. And I'm like, do you know who advances the 75 cents on the dollar after $10 million? He's like, who? And I'm like, Ocasio-Cortez and Bernie Sanders. And immediately he's like, well, we can't do that. That's socialism. And I'm like, yeah, you argue for more radical socialism stuff. And you know, it's like they have this team mentality in their head, and once you point out that like these policies are associated with the other team, people lose their shit.
Yeah, it's really, really, really tough to get around. Like tone policing it feels terrible to have to do, but in order to be an effective rhetorician, which is what you should do if you're an advocate for the policies that you care about, it doesn't matter how good the policies are. It matters, like, your job as an advocate is to advocate for them effectively, which means framing it, reading the person, and framing it in a way that they're going to be more agreeable to it. It's a tough skill to learn, but it's what you have to do as an advocate.
Yeah, well, I thought that advocacy was screaming at people and canceling them.
Yes. No, that's definitely work, though, right?
Yeah, on occasion. I think that you know, Milo finally getting canceled due to you know, his views on pederasty was ironic, but it was good that he finally got shut down. But it's amazing what the Republicans will put up with. There was Kay, when she was on my channel, we were talking about it, like how on the left, you know, you can be a prominent figure and you do like one thing wrong and everybody fucking hates you. But like, and that way, like, people come up and get just torn down, kind of a crabs in the barrel thing. But on the right, apparently they have the opposite problem, where like people once a person gets to a certain level of prominence with them, they are untouchable, and people will be loyal to them until the end, unless, you know, something happens like what happened with Milo and CPAC.
Yeah, I think the second one is explanatory because they love authoritarianism. They love having the big, strong leader. They want to come under it. On the left, again, more so psychology research, negative warmth is viewed as diagnostic. So if someone does something bad, that bad action is diagnostic of their character in a way that a positive action can never come close to. The analogy I use is, if you have a bowl of soup, delicious bowl of soup, and someone drops a little bit of piss in it, you now have a bowl filled with piss.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not good, and it's actually one of the things in the book that I agreed with coming in. This good, bad binary, this racist, not racist binary. Nothing is that simple. As leftists, we should know things are not a binary. Things are on spectrums. So it's just hard to. There are a lot of factors going on, like, because, you know, again, from a survival instinct, like, yeah, the bad thing is way more important, because if someone does something nice for you, that's fine, cool. Yeah. So if someone kills you, you're done. That's it. So that one is way more important. But in terms of like, I had a second point, I completely lost it.
Well, no, it makes sense in the same sense that, like, so this is going from comic book writing and comic book art. Red, the color red on a page is way more striking than other colors, because our brains, you know, evolved to see red as blood, and so immediately it's like, what's that? And usually, oftentimes, the use of red in terms of political imagery winds up being very evocative, and will tend to inspire like devotion and fear and a fight or flight mechanism. And so, like, you should, and this is coming from an anarchist who's red and black, you should you know, be, when you're surrounding yourself with red, you should be careful about getting
Google food brand logos if you're in the audience, and see what colors tend to pop up the most.
Yeah. If I'm not mistaken, like, yeah. Also, interestingly enough, fast food companies, they use fall colors, because that's when the harvest is. So, like, it will trick your brain into thinking it's time, which is one of the reasons why White Castle doesn't do as well. Yeah,
it's still interesting to talk about. It's, you know, you should never go on to like wealth everything can be explained with evolutionary psychology. Like what you do now is because of what you do if, if you were a caveman somewhere. No, environment also plays a factor. Like we're not that set in stone.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, okay, well, this was great. Do you want to plug your pluggables? Where can people find you, follow you, and everybody, please do.
Sure. So my handle on Twitter is at SJWDebates, appropriately enough. You can find me debating Milo Yiannopoulos on Modern Day Debate. It's YouTube channel, Modern Day Debate. And if you would like to see my other debates and like some of the video essays that I've written, as you watch the Milo debate, which you're going to do first, they have linked to my channel, which is Jangles ScienceLad, in the description.
Yeah, absolutely. And for my viewers, my name is Brenton Lengel. I'm the author of Snow White Zombie Apocalypse. You can, by the way, I'll send you a digital copy of this if you're interested.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Awesome.
Definitely.
Yeah, I'll send it to you. It's a great book.
Hell yeah.
You can find me at www.brentonlengel.com, at Brenton Lengel on Twitter. I am you just search Brenton Lengel on YouTube. You'll find me, and I'm Brent Lengel on Facebook. Thanks very much to Jangles ScienceLad, Justin, for kicking the crap out of Milo Yiannopoulos. And we are signing off.